also going to talk to you. She's going to speak to you about some of the health-related statistics, about some of the situations that I've talked about and some other ones that may surprise you. But in closing, I would just like to ask that you please take into great consideration all these matters that we have discussed, and thank you for the opportunity to address this.
I have a question about the dumpster.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you tell the kids that neighbors or community people are putting things in that dumpster?
Well, the one that's causing the problem, the food from the cafeteria gets put in it. And then Renee's gonna address one of the factors that causes the problems there. But, you know, that milk and stuff, and it's right by that door, and the parents are like, they're going through going, you know, I mean, you could, it about gags you.
I'm not sure it's even getting emptied properly. You know,
So
even after
that's
they
the
empty it, and you go out there,
sanitation.
there's still milk
Yeah.
in there that, you know, the humidity's been so high and it's causing that horrible odor. So I'm not even sure if that would be, you know,
Well,
something.
that's what I was gonna ask, is what's the solution to it? But that might be part of it.
We need to find another place to put it, like it says, not, it's right by the back entrance to the building.
Yeah, I mean, the children hold their nose when
Yes.
they're
I have a
transported
special
back and
needs child I
forth.
take care of, and when we walk out, especially today after they emptied it, he said, "Nose time," and he puts his nose up, and he will not go any further until his hand is on it. I mean, it's terrible.
There's solutions you can put in there and stop that over.
Right.
Yeah, I think
And you
that
can
one
tell they're
won't
nasty,
be as
they're
hard
dirty.
to come up with something, but we did want to mention it, you know, because you also, I mean, naturally, there's trash there. You know, there's, the wood line is right there, that's gonna draw down animals, you know, whether it be raccoons or whatever, which is also gonna be another health issue. So,
Yeah, they came and got me and said, come out here and look in the dumpster. I leaned over the dumpster, and it's full of raccoons, I mean, not one, lots. I was
yeah, so,
like,
I mean, and our children walk right by that, it's right by the entrance to our little primary
All
system.
right, we, there might be, once again, obviously we have to have dumpsters somewhere. but
I don't know where you're putting them, we don't want them on the main road.
Well, that problem at West Hamlin, we had to move it away from the
Yeah,
building.
I mean, you know.
How about the
our-
sewer plant?
That's what I was gonna say. This is Renee Christian, and she is a nurse practitioner, and I truly feel blessed to have her on board with us. She takes care of our kids, and she takes care of our staff.
Yes, I try. As Kim said, I'm Renee Christian, and I'm a nurse practitioner for the Duval Yellow Jacket Center. And there are two issues that I want to speak to you about today. The first one is we have a problem with strep throat here. We're not sure what the issue is. Our kids continuously, they're diagnosed with strep. Last school season, you know, we weren't here very much, but we had 214 cases of strep. Now, some of that is, you know, reoccurring cases of kids with non-compliant parents or what have you. But that is definitely an issue. Of course, it's spread, you know, in your nasal cavity and through cough and saliva and stuff like that. So that's just a tremendous amount, because even at the high school, they have 900 some students and they only had 165 cases. Of course, those kids are older and they wash their hands better, but still, that's a large number for our kids. And that's not counting the kids that don't receive treatment from me. That's only what I can count. Now, I have a percentage consent rate of 91, but you still have that other 9% of kids that are getting treated somewhere else. When they're diagnosed, they miss 2 days of school. The day that I send them home and the following day, so they are full of antibiotics to come back, so that decreases the chance of strep, and that's an issue, to miss 2 days of instructional time out of a week, especially last year because they weren't here a whole lot anyway. The best ways that we have found to prevent strep is, of course, washing your hands. So we have implemented a plan to kind of work on that. The LSIC has spoke to some parent volunteers, and they're going to come in daily and wipe down the door handles, the water fountains, you know, things like that. Kind of talk to the younger kids about washing their hands. Lincoln Primary Care, they're going to come in and teach classes to pre-K through first grade on hand washing and do the black light to kind of show them about germs and stuff like that. And then we're going to have the health teachers talk to the older kids about not drinking after each other, you know, don't share food, utensils and things like that at lunch. We're gonna set hand sanitizer up on each end, for the choice menu and for the main tray, so the kids can use the hand sanitizer before they touch the spoons and stuff like that to get that out, because I'm sure they probably sit there and handle some spoons and stuff like that. But on a happier note with that, the following year before that point, we had 500 cases of strep here. And we realized that we didn't have warm water in our bathrooms. The kids weren't washing their hands with warm water. And we did bring that issue to you, and you fixed the warm water. So we did drop our percentage rate. Yeah. Turned it right, that's all it took. So there is warm water there in the bathrooms now that's sufficient, that it, it's showing that it is killing the strep. So that's on a positive note. The second issue that I need to talk about is at our primary building, out back near the dumpsters, we have a cat problem. We have approximately 30 cats back there.
We do.
Yes, that's not an exaggeration. Yes, so. The dumpsters.
You didn't hear that, Sean.
Don't play that back.
The dumpsters, of course, are drawing them in because we can't really keep them from coming there because they're eating out of the dumpster. That's their food source. The kids walk by the dumpsters and they're holding their noses like we had talked about. But it's extra work for the custodians because there's just cat feces all over where those kids have to walk in that path. So some of them are walking through it, and then they're going in on their carpet time for, that's pre-K and kindergarten over there. They're sitting down and reading. So that's an issue. And of course, it raises a lot of questions because those cats are breeding all the time. So those little kids just have tons of questions continuously. The underpinning to the primary building out back is tore down. In spots, there's a hole. So that's where the cats are staying, that's where they're having their litters and things like that. I think last year there was even a dog that had died and was underneath there, so we dealt with that smell. And of course now in those two classrooms that's closest to the hole, you can actually smell like the cat urine and stuff like that that's coming up through the vents.
Well, before we leave the cat issue, you did call
I called with the message at the sheriff's office, but I think.
I called the sheriff's office
and,
yes, and I haven't.
And I called probably 3 times last year, and we, at the end of the school year last year, some of the parents of the kids wanted the kittens, so we caught them and sent them home with them, and got rid of some, but we just, you can't control 30 cats, so. And this is definitely a health issue because of, we've got cat scratch fever that these kids can come up with. You have toxoplasmosis, which, if you have a pregnant teacher here and she comes in contact with that, it's not known at that time, but her baby later can have developmental delays, it can be born blind. There's just all sorts of issues that these cats being out there cause. So we need the underpinning fixed if all possible, and we need help getting rid of those cats.
We don't know who to call.
And I don't know, I'm not sure who to call to make that happen. And as earlier discussed, we need the dumpster sewer intervention. It's the kids on the front lawn, they can't go out there and enjoy their break after lunch. And the kids on the playground, they can't be out there because of the smell. So it's a no-win. It's no safe haven for them. And definitely the mulch and things like that where that sewer is seeping up, those cuts are horrible for us to try to, it's more than just an abrasion with a Band-Aid. Well, I'm treating these kids 3 and 4 days, and then they're put on antibiotics because of the cuts that they're receiving out there. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Debbie, could you make note of that underpinning?
Debbie, we kept dumpsters up Capitol inside the doctor, and they never smelled until they put the stuff in there, smelled like orange. They sprayed it with that.
I'll tell these to put bleach in their dumpsters. I don't know if they take it out there and pour it in there whenever after they're.
Well, you really need to put it in a garden spray and spray around the dumpster.
They may have to check when they do empty the dumpsters that they get all their garbage out too. That's something that might want to monitor you. If you can give it.
In my free time. That's one of those, stay focused on safety and achievement.
We'll say it.
Yeah, you're right.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Well, and it's like, we're at our wit's end because we don't know what else to do. I would rather be able to take care of it in a legal way without having to bother you with this. I don't know who else to call. I've run out of sources, so.
We'll
Hopefully.
check on it.
Okay. All right, technology. I told you that we had 3 new labs. I want you to know Danny Daly, my hero, does a phenomenal job as technology director. He has so much to do, and he is just, I just have so much respect for him. Dane and Sean, they're working themselves to death. But if you, any of you all, I see a bunch of principals in here, and if any of you all have ever been around unhappy teachers, it's not a fun place to be. And our teachers are a little bit frustrated, you know, because we have technology, but we just can't get it all working. Last week, about a week and a half ago, they had 120 work orders. Last week it's 98, mostly at at Hamlin and Guy Valley. You know, I don't know what the answer is. I feel like that, do we need to contract out and get stuff up and running so that we can utilize this great technology we have? Do we need more technology people in the county?
Does Risa do any of that?
Risa comes up and, matter of fact, they've had Marty's computer for a while and she's chomping at the bits about it, so. So, yeah, they come up and we put work orders in. I mean, it's just, they're swamped, and I don't wanna in any way say that they're not doing their job. I don't know how they can keep up, and our teachers are just frustrated. They want to get everything going, and, you know, it's just a huge job. And I just, you know, when they tell me things are bothering them, I pass it right down to you all. Bring it right on. Or maybe pass it up to you all would be a better word. All right, moving right along, I'm going to talk about something that in the past might have been, was probably controversial. Attendance boundaries. You know, many years ago when they closed school, they said, go wherever you want to go. And I always thought that meant for that year, and then after that, those lines would be established. And I thought when people went wherever they wanted to go, that would be their home school. And so, but it didn't really stay like that. And so what we have is we have Duval very overcrowded. I have at least 50 people that call me a year and want to come to Duval because the kid from Midway has come. And, you know, I just can't take them because we just don't have any room. Here's our current enrollment. Sorry, I couldn't get a hold of it, Trish. Here, I've licked my finger after Renee's. By the way, I had 3 cases of strep throat last year that Renee took care of. And you can see our PK, our goal was to have 32 kids, we're at 33. Our kindergarten, we just enrolled another one, we cannot take one more kindergarten student. Our 5th grade, we're at our limit. We cannot take one more 5th grade student. You know, our enrollment's up a little bit from last year, and I wanted, you know, you to have this information. You know, the state gives us class size limits, and, you know, for example, kindergarten, 20 per teacher, but they can take up to 23 in an emergency, but that's really not what they want to do, and we see the results of what happens when classes are overcrowded. We all know that with smaller groups, achievement improves because there's a lower student-teacher ratio. Now, I want to say up front that Midway this year is about comparable to us. But to give you the example, last year Midway had 32 5th graders. That's a 16-to-1 ratio. They had 2 teachers. We're looking at 56, that's a 28-to-1 ratio. You know, my question is, how fair is this to students? And I want to make sure that everybody understands, I am in no way, I have never sent a child back that was here in the beginning. And I am in no way asking for that to happen. The kids that are here are here. You know, I'm just asking for the board to establish some districts starting next year. How does overcrowded classes affect teacher effectiveness? You know, at one point, Miss Lucas and I talked, you know, she was right in there with me on all this, and she said, you know, you might have to have a fourth, fifth grade split. I was so glad when two people moved, because then we didn't have to, you know, because I just don't think that's what's best for kids. And Midway has a split class this year. So what I'm saying is, if we look at our lines, maybe there's a better way to disperse our kids. Overcrowded buses lead to a lot of discipline problems. Last year, probably over 50% of the discipline issues I dealt with were in the after-school program on the bus and on the bus, the regular runs. You know, we've got a Midway bus and a Duval bus turning around in the same place on top of Samarico Mountain. And I pretty much told everybody, if you live at Samarico Post Office that way, you have to go to Midway. And, you know it's hard on parents. I would love to take the kids, but I just can't. There's just no way. We don't have any room. Hamlin's right now has 155 students in grades 6 through 8, as compared to Duval having 256 students. So, you know, at one point, some kids that lived on Mud River went to Hamlin. And I don't know what their class ratio is down there. I'm sure Miss Lucas and them know. But, you know, I think it is essential that we look at this. Our cafeteria seats 164 kids. This week, we had to do a new cafeteria schedule. And if you wanted to eat at Duval, you can arrive anytime from 10:30 in the morning to 1:26. That's how long lunch lasts. We have we actually have 4 and another lunch, an overlapping lunch, because we just don't have a room. So you can see our cafeteria schedule. So, you know, our original lunch plan, Abby will tell you, Abby came to me a little flustered. You sorry if I share this? A little flustered, and she said, you have got to do something about that first lunch. I said, all right, let's look at this. Let me see if there's another way to make it work. And so, you know, we now have different kids coming in at 15-minute intervals trying to get all these lunches in. So, you know, we exceed 164 students, and it's a packed house. You know, I understand we're running about the same number of buses that we ran when we were a bigger district. And, you know, there's been, you know, we had buses overcrowded, and then I have parents saying to me, but I saw a bus with just a few kids on it. And so we're just asking, our LSIC is asking for you all to look at establishing a line or establishing districts. I'll volunteer, I'll do whatever I need to do to work with. Jeff and I've had this conversation. And, you know, it's got to involve Rod Cummings, it needs to involve Ms. Lucas, it needs to involve Dana, because he was transportation director before. Just to alleviate not only the overcrowding on the buses, but the overcrowding in the classrooms, so that we can, you know, Hamlin, 155 kids. Is there a way that we can send a few down there and adjust the lines so that it's just not such a burden on us? If we had more teachers, a bigger school, I'd take every one of them. I would love to have them. But, I mean, I think it's unfair to the kids, because we know what overcrowding does to achievement. It puts a burden on teachers, and sometimes I understand when they want to go to a school that things are a little easier. You know, 16-to-1 ratio compared to 28-to-1. Margie will tell you.
Kim, what's your Wednesday lunch schedule?
My Wednesday lunch schedule, oh, Larry, I didn't bring that with me. Yes, I did. Look at your reference guide. I forgot. We have happy time on Wednesday. So if you go to number 1, which is schedules, and you flip to the bright yellow Wednesday lunchtime, and you can see that, and is that? Oh, it's on the bottom of your green schedule too. We had to adjust that. I don't have one of those now, I guess. I gave Jeff, let me have my green schedule. Thank you. Wednesday, when we have happy time, we have, because it has to be within the instructional day, we had to adjust the schedule, so you can see PK kindergarten and first eat at 10:30. Then at 11 o'clock, we do second grade on the tray side, and of course, we have to have supervision and all this. And then at 11:32, the third and sixth grade come in. It works out even better than the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Of course, Friday, the little kids aren't here, but it's on the bottom of this sheet. But we've had to adjust this because we just don't have the room to accommodate the kids. We had started with the YALA in the book, and then we had, when we do the Happy Time's only once a week. So when we did that, we had to make those changes. Which is free. All right.
We'll look at that, Kim. I mean, this, what the solution is, we don't know that maybe there's a possibility that the Mud River issue could, some modifications could be made there. Like you said, there's several people have to be involved in it.
Yeah. And, I know that there's room to handle. I mean, and we just don't have any room.
We understand.
Okay. Of course, our LSIC members have addressed, I need to break into a little verse of cat scratch fever and all that, so they've addressed the health concerns, the strep throat. Since I've come to Duval, safety's been a priority for us. And the way that we address our safety issues is through expectations, through structures, through procedures, through guidelines that our staff and students follow. Thus, you've got a staff information reference guide that I created this year. I'll start you out with, under tab 1, if you look at the lunch duty schedule, it's a white sheet, and you can see, well, it may be green in yours, but you can see the people that we have supervising kids at all times. If you flip to the next page, you see we have people on morning duty, outside duty, out front duty. So our kids are supervised. Our teachers are in the hall during changes of classes, anytime the kids are in transition. Our elementary teachers escort the kids to their destination. And no person is signed out unless the person is on their schedule, on their emergency form. We make our teachers aware, we have quite a few cases where we get court orders that limit parental rights. So the office is aware of that, as well as the teachers, so that no child is picked up by somebody that does not have the right to pick them up. If you go to section 2 in your book, you can see the sheet on the front is, mine's collared, your all's isn't, is teacher information. And every one of these things that I'm going to share with you deal with taking care of kids. Teacher expectations. We have a crisis team, a wellness team, our asbestos notification, fire marshal requirements, reasons for being homeless. When a kid's identified as homeless, then that goes to the counselor. And towards the back of this is a safe school hotline information. We've already had 5 fire drills this year. We still have some babies that are crying a little bit in the morning, so we're probably in October we'll have our first lockdown. But there's all these different things in this book address these issues.
Kim, on the lockdown, is there an established number of times that you do lockdowns?
Twice a year, 10 fire drills plus 2 lockdowns.
And who requires it to be clear?
The state, and at the end of the year, you mail in a form to the state fire marshal that shows the dates, the times, how many students are in the building, if you blocked exits.
I mean, for the fire drills and the lockdown?
Yeah, it's all on the same form. It's on the black locker in my office on the side of it. So we've already had 5, and probably the most time, the first one, it was 2 minutes and something, and since then, it's been anywhere between a minute 45 and a minute 55 getting out of the building. So, our teachers are aware of this information in this book. This was the first year I did this, and at the end of the year, we will purge and take out what is not relevant any longer, and, put in the new stuff that we need to put in. If you go to section 3, this is about procedures. sorry, that's not section 3, that might be section 4, I'm sorry. Section 4, and every item in this section deals with safety and health of students. You do little playground rules, you know, our fitness breaks, end of the day shutdowns, classroom management, bullying. And bullying is such a key word, and everybody thinks that bullying, everything is bullying, and it's not. But our teachers, at the end of the year, we address all this stuff, and they know exactly what our expectations are. It was brought to my attention that there's been something negative put on Facebook about a sexual predator walking our halls, and I said, we complained because we haven't walked the halls for years, and now we have one. And, you know, the key with this is that when these people who are sex offenders, when we call the court, there are no restrictions on these people. You know, there's nothing to keep them away from a school. And so, yes, we did have somebody that was a sex offender, the secretary speaking and not speaking. I came down the hall, they had a child here, I'm sure is going to the clinic, made Renee aware. We had a little kid going down the hall, I told the aide not to leave her. But when there are no restrictions on these people, there's not one thing we can do.
So, but you're saying this is somebody who's a parent or a guardian or somebody that has a reason for being here, right?
Right,
Okay.
but they're also known, you know, as a sex offender. Because we were like, what are we supposed to do? We were like calling. If you flip on to section 5, you can see the things that we put in the classroom to make the kids aware, fire drill procedures. The teachers actually practice this stuff with them. Of course, the diagrams, the codes of conduct. And the last thing we put in is county policies so that they're aware of your all's policies and what your expectations are of teachers. And I won't bother those unless something changes, because I thought every year, you know, they might as well stay in here unless it changes. Facility needs, we still would like a sidewalk, but besides that, we're good. And besides what they already told you about the dumpster and the sewer, the smelly stuff. Have you seen kids go down the slide holding their nose?
Okay, thank you very much.
Do you have any questions for me?
You guys have anything to make?
You don't have anything to say about 2024?
About what?
2024,
Oh,
and you better not say anything about it.
no, I'm finished. I might have gone over my limit.
Thank you. We appreciate all you all do here. Those of you who stayed this long, we really appreciate you. We do understand, you know, you have certain needs. Some of them we've heard about, some are new to us, but they've gotten our attention and we'll try to work for us. I appreciate all of it.
And I appreciate your all support as well as the central office's support. When I call them, they do everything they can do to help me take care of any issues. And like I said, we just, like the cat thing, we run out, we don't know what else to do.
We'll see what we
Besides,
can do.
Fred knows what to do, but we keep that to ourselves.